Hi, everybody. It's fantastic to be back at ProductCon. We have a problem. As product geeks, we are drowning. The pace of competition, the fire hose of information, the speed of decision making, it has all exponentially increased. And quite frankly, the old ways of working aren't just inefficient, they are a total recipe for burnout. Today, we're going to build on my ProductCon London presentation from earlier this year and architect a solution. For those of you who were at the presentation or may have watched the recording on Product School's YouTube channel, QR code down below, we laid the groundwork with a three-part framework to 10x your productivity as a product leader through more effective use of AI tooling and techniques. Using speech to text to save time, a ton of time, a day a week, by the way, I'm not kidding. Using your calendar to protect that saved time. And then, most importantly of all, using that reclaimed time to amplify your impact by playing with AI more effectively. The talk went down bonkersly brilliant, and today Carlos and I want to go deeper into that third pillar to answer that crucial next question. Now that we have the time, how do we really use AI to process our thinking? To do that, we have to first solve for a more fundamental problem. The problem that many of us looks like something like this. Most of us live in this room. It's called the yellow sticky room that I introduced back in February. It's a hilarious yet all too relatable GIF, sadly. A chaos of brilliant ideas, fleeting thoughts, and crucial reminders scattered across dozens of apps. And notebooks, and yes, actual sticky notes. And our brains are just overwhelmed, just trying to keep track of it all, right? So this is the barrier I feel to truly amplifying our impact. Whereas the AI operating system that we're going to architect today, I think is the answer to escaping the yellow sticky room. It's the system that is designed to intelligently file away everything for you and bubble it back up at the right context, the right place, the right time. Before we dive in and do this demo, my real day-to-day system obviously contains a lot more private information, and I won't bore the pants off you with any of it. I'm sure you don't have a look at it. Instead, I will build a lightweight demo space, which just took 2 hours to build. And by the way, I'm calling that out because I want to make sure that you don't feel too daunted about what I'm about to show you. It's not that difficult if you just invest some time and leaning into it. This demo is designed to pull back the curtains and show you the key pillars and core ingredients of what is possible. The goal, like I say, is not to copy my setup, but to spark your imagination about how you can escape your own yellow sticky room. So let's take one of those thousands of yellow sticky notes as a concrete example. It's not always a high-level strategic note. Sometimes the most important thoughts are about our team, the ones that brilliantly build culture and morale. Leaving the Pendo London office after a fantastic customer on-site event, I was thinking about my colleague Kenneth that you see here on the screen and the amazing job that he did running it. I made a mental note to tell his line manager, Gabby, and to praise him publicly in our next town hall. That's the classic yellow sticky note thought. In a chaotic system, it gets lost. The intention fades. The opportunity to be that better colleague is missed. But in an AI operating system, this happens instead.
Kenneth did a fantastic job at managing the customer on site this week. And I just want to make sure that we mention it at the next town hall and we give Gabby a shout out to make sure that she's aware of it.
And then just when I'm about to pull my phone away, I remember a critical insight from a customer call earlier in the day.
Acme Travel mentioned on today's customer discovery call that they want to take part in the beta testing of our new analytics agent. They're struggling to understand the dollar impact of what's being released across their portfolio and to communicate that effectively to the board.
Okay, so now we have two completely different thoughts captured in the system, one right after the other. The first is an internal piece of leadership feedback. The second is a critical customer and product insight. In a normal system, these are just two unrelated memos lost in the list. But in the background, the OS is working on both. Let's see what it did, and I think you're going to love this.
Okie dokie, so let's look at what happened in the mere seconds after we captured those two thoughts. And this is the absolute core of the AI operating system. It's not just about capture, it's about AI-powered intelligent routing. Let's look at the thought about Kenneth. So that's come onto my Today page through the voice note that I submitted through mobile. And what you see here wasn't just transcribed word for word. The OS correctly identified both people involved, Kenneth and his line manager, Gabby. But look at this. This is the really powerful part. It understood my intent. It extracted the town hall as a specific meeting where this praise should be mentioned. It even helpfully created a concise summary at the title level, at the node level, while keeping the full original thought perfectly preserved, word for word underneath. And at the same time, for the customer feedback, it attached the company, Acme Travel, and was even smart enough to infer that how I used it in the voice note analytics agent actually maps correctly to the project in terms of how we call it here, which is the agent analytics. And for the Kenneth note, we can see that the automatically extracted context now means that I get to see this note in the upcoming town hall meeting page and also in my one-to-one with his line manager, Gabby. This is what I mean by the powerful routing. And as we'll see further in this presentation, it gets really interesting. A system like this is so hugely effective because it means the right context appears at the right time for the right person, for the right project, and for the right meeting. It takes this chaotic, unstructured stream of our day and transforms it into structured, actionable intelligence filed away in exactly the right places. And it's important to remember, by the way, I've shown you this happening with voice on my mobile app, but because that's often where my ideas personally strike. But the principle is exactly the same. Whether you type a note onto your computer or use a voice-to-text app at your desk, the power isn't in the capture method, it's in what happens next when you apply a tag to a thought. And the engine that makes all of this possible, as we'll see in a second, is the architecture. Let's continue.
So how did that happen? How did the system know to connect a thought about Kenneth to my one-to-one with Gabby and a customer insight about Acme Travel to our internal product strategy? It's because the entire system is designed around a simple truth. Creativity is just connecting things. And that is the fundamental problem of the yellow sticky room. It's a room full of disconnected things, of brilliant ideas, of important facts, fleeting thoughts, all sitting in isolation. It's a graveyard of potential creativity because there is no system for connection. An AI operating system, on the other hand, is built for this one purpose, to be that connection machine. It's an architecture designed to find the hidden threads between a customer insight from today, a leadership thought from yesterday, a book highlight from 6 months ago. It helps you do the one thing that matters, to see connections that lead to genuine breakthrough. But to build this connection machine, you first need a blueprint. You have to define the rules for how your system connects information. And let's now look at the architecture that makes this possible. So to build the connection machine that Jobs talks about, you need an architecture. And the first and often most overwhelming choice is that you have to make about what tool to build it with. And the personal knowledge management space, or PKM space, has absolutely mushroomed. There are dozens of fantastic options out there, and it can be daunting to navigate. But the simplest way to think about it is on the spectrum. On one end, you have beautifully simple structured tools like Reflect, really great place to start. In other areas, you have incredibly flexible community-driven systems like Obsidian. And on the far end of the spectrum, you have what I believe to be the next generation powerful AI native platforms designed from the ground up to be a true operating system. That's the category where Tana sits, and I've chosen it for this demonstration because its unique flexibility, deep AI integration, gives us the perfect set of ingredients to cook up with. It's the ideal canvas to show you the kind of architecture I'm talking about. Let's jump in.
Okay, so let's pull the curtains back on that canvas. I'm going to walk through the core ingredients that you have to cook with when building out your AI brain. Let's first look at the Kudos super tag from our first demo. Think of a super tag as a blueprint for a type of information. And every super tag has fields, which you design yourself that you can see here. So very straightforward stuff, right? You can go as simple or as complicated as you want, but the structure, ultimately, that's the foundation we're looking to build out here, right? Now, here's how the magic from the opening demo actually happened. When that Kudos super tag was applied to that node, it triggered an AI-powered workflow that I designed. First up, there is what's called the autofill behavior using AI. That converts the node heading into something simpler based on the prompt that you can see here. Summarize the Kudos in a statement and include the subject. And if we scroll on further down, here's where the AI-powered automation happens. We're telling it that when that super tag, that Kudos tag, is added to the node, then autofill the child fields that we've given that particular super tag beneath that node using AI. So you can go to town on this with a bunch of pre-built commands that you can see here that have them automatically triggered on your content. This is powerful, powerful stuff. So that's the first job of the AI in the OS, the AI-powered filing and routing. Really, really important. But there's much, much, much more. The AI can also be a creative partner for us to help generate new knowledge and insights. For example, I'm going to just open up a blank note here, and I'm just going to ask the AI, give me the top 10 leadership books with date published in table form. Now, just wait a few seconds for that to come through. and it's doing its thing. It's trying to pull everything together into a table. Here it comes. And this is fantastic. This is really, really good. So now we're going to have the AI do some work for itself. So actually using the full context of that table it's just generated, what does the AI think would be other additional columns that might be useful to have? So let's click on this and we will see it come through in a second. And now we have notable quotes. That's a great idea. So definitely let's add that in. And by the way, I can add in any other columns and have AI define those columns as well, which will then look against the content of the rest of the table. As I scan these quotes, this one's lovely. To make it now permanent part of my thinking and my wider knowledge, I'm going to simply add it as an insight tag and add that in. And I've configured the insight tag a bit like a cookery program with its own AI action so that whenever I add it, the AI automatically classifies the topic for me. So let's tag a few more. I love Readwise. I use it all the time. I clip everything from my Kindle books, my podcasts, what I look at on Twitter, all comes through, different web page clippings and so on. And every morning now, Readwise sends my Tana any clippings it's found from me. And so just for the sake of demo convenience, I've only pulled in a handful of Readwise notes here and added the node into this particular part of my page. And you'll see now, we jump in. Here's Monetizing Innovation, fantastic book. Look at this sad stat. 65% of new products fail. Shockingly sad. Let's also now add that as an insight. And now, final hurdle for this part of the demo. Now let's look at the final ingredient of live searches. Everything here is structured now, and is because it's automatically classified, I can create that search for all my insights. I could filter by topic if I wanted to, and that is just brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
So those are just the building blocks at a high level. Now, to show you how all of this hangs together, over the next few minutes, we're going to look at an end-to-end workflow weekly planning. We'll see how to go from daily planning right through to my weekly reflections on a Friday. You'll see how I've created this AI agent in Tana. We've playfully called him Friday Freddy, and he is then able to work with me. I'll show you how we have this dance back and forth, and I give Freddy context through various different sage searches, and it helps he and I plan the week ahead together. I want to emphasize this is less about the use case of weekly planning. It's all about, as I mentioned before, showing you the ingredients that you have to cook up with. Just giving context into a project folder in ChatGPT isn't really that good. What you can do here, as you'll see in a second, with Tana, is you can actually inject these live searches in, which change over time, right? They evolve, and therefore that context is living and breathing. And that has a fundamental different way then, ultimately, of working with your knowledge graph. So the goal here is to show you that you can create a system for anything, limited only largely by your imagination, for streamlining your own unique workflows. Let's jump in.
So it starts with the daily page in Tana. At the top of every single day, I had this content block that automatically appears. It's been pre-configured. It's called the morning journal. You'll see also that there's a mic icon there. It's because we've actually configured that node to accept voice input directly into the app from desktop. So in the interest of time, I'm not going to fill that out live, but it's a simple thing. I just talk through my thoughts for the day, running through each of these prompts, and the AI then automatically populates the fields that you see here. You can see it also has a search at the bottom of the fields area that pulls in things like open risks that I need to be aware of. So you can really configure this to what you want, and it's a great forcing function for those atomic habits that you might want to be bringing in here. So here's one I made earlier that has been completed. I do this every day, capturing those small thoughts and reflections. Now, let's fast forward to Friday. It's Friday afternoon and it's at the end of the week, and I want to reflect on what happened and plan for the week ahead. And because it's a Friday page, I've pre-configured this to have a new custom command that automatically appears on a Friday page. And that is an agent that I've designed in Tana, and it's called Friday Freddy. Now, when I click on Freddy, it's not just a simple chatbot. I've configured it to do something incredibly powerful that you're about to see here. It's a system prompt for the agent. This is what you're seeing here. I've told it that you are my personal executive assistant, and this is the most important part. I've instructed it to load up its context with a series of saved searches from my graph, covering everything that I've been doing in the last week. It's pulling in my weekly thoughts, my goals, my journal entries, market and customer insights, everything. I'll capture the whole caboodle. The agent's job then, Freddy, is to then guide me through a weekly reflection of everything that's grounded in my actual goals, my actual week. We have this dance back and forth to effectively plan ahead. Now let's see this in action. Okay, so let's now click Friday Freddy. So Friday Freddy is off to town. He's going to pull in all that context we had from the previous week's milestones, all those saved searches, that context we've given in to the agent, pulling together all the journal insights, all obviously fictitious. And now I'm being asked how I felt. So in the interest of time, I'm going to say fab. And then what am I going to get done for the week ahead? I'm just going to put this in, and then boom, great. And now I'm going to click create the plan for the week. And then all of that then will come in over here on the left. I've got my plan. And if I pop ahead, you see these are my current weekly milestones over here on the right. And if I go over to the following week, I'll then see a different set of milestones for the week ahead. There you go.
So what we've seen so far is the state of the art today. Systems that we can architect where we deliberately capture and orchestrate information. But I want to leave you with a glimpse of where this is all going. Because as you can probably tell from this presentation, I have a somewhat unhealthy obsession with all things AI, tools, and tech. And I've been experimenting with what you see on the screen here in this for the last few weeks. And it's called the limitless pendant. And for me, it's been an absolute game changer. It's been bonkers. Now, I get it. I get it can feel a little awkward, and I don't wear it around other people. I'm not just that comfortable doing so just yet. And to be honest, I even hesitated showing this off in the presentation for fear of making enemies. My use case, though, is simple. When I'm out for a jog or I'm walking to work, ideas come to me. I capture them without ever breaking my stride to pull out the phone. And before we dismiss this as a niche gadget, let's look at the signals, right? Amazon recently purchased Bee, a company making a very similar device. And Sam Altman and Johnny Ive are now working together on a new generation of AI hardware that does the same thing. And he expects to ship 100 million of them in the next few years. The space is heating up because the biggest minds in tech know that the next breakthrough comes from giving our AI partners truly seamless context. This is, for me, the inspirational direction of travel. It's a future with less screen time, where our AIs have the rich, the real world context needed for far more fruitful and collaborative exchanges. This, for me, is where the puck is going, and obviously fraught with privacy issues, but if overcome, hugely, hugely exciting. But this exciting future of technology isn't, for me, the real payoff. The real payoff is what it gives back to us. I was on holiday recently, reading what I sense will quickly become one of the most transformative books of my career. And ironically, it's called The Brain at Rest. And it was an absolute bloody revelation, honestly, because I've been thinking a lot about this feeling that I have now for a while. For the first time in my career, I'm getting more done than ever. And because of that, I just feel less guilty when I switch off the laptop. The book explains why this is so important. It talks about how our work, our day-to-day pushes our brains into the executive network that's the get it done mode, right? All day long. But our best ideas, the scientific breakthroughs, the moments where we, to quote Jobs, connect the dots, all that comes from our default mode network, which we make little time for. This is the part of our brain that flourishes only when we rest and let our minds wander. And for me, the AI operating system is your permission slip. Honestly, it's the trusted system that allows you to nourish your default mode network without feeling guilty. It gives you permission to take the nap. Honestly, science backs it, to let your thoughts percolate. When you combine a rested, creative mind with a system that effortlessly captures and connects your thoughts, it is such an almighty win-win. Personally, I have never been, as you can probably tell, more excited. So, your journey this week, maybe next, starts with 3 actions. 1, architect your blueprint. Define your core structure, just as we discussed, right? 2, automate your information flow. Pick a workflow, something like you just overwhelms you, and an information workflow, right? And build a simple agent for it. Use N8N, Gumloop.com, Zapier, brilliant playgrounds for this. Honestly, I'll be doing a lot more video on all of this soon. And you could even have those endpoints connect into your PKM through APIs, right? And 3, the most important bit of all of this, please, is embrace mind wandering. I'm absolutely serious. Put time in your calendar, not just to think deeply, very important, but to get away from your damn desk. Go for the lunch break walk. Get some fresh air, look at the sky, look at the trees. The book I mentioned, The Brain at Rest, jokingly advocates for hugging them. And as much as I read the science about it, I haven't had the courage yet to do it, but I probably will one day. So make time for rest, make time for your mind to wander. And you can do this with the complete comfort of knowing that actually what we built is this fantastic system. It's now ready and waiting to dance with and capture all of the creativity that will then come pouring your way as a result of leaning into your default mode network. So the goal of your AI operating system isn't just to be more productive, it's to be more strategic, more creative, and ultimately much more human. Thank you very much for listening. This is me here. I'll be setting up a YouTube channel quite soon, and I'll be posting about all sorts of tips, tricks, and shenanigans when it comes to AI to drive a better and far more healthier work-life balance. Thank you very much for listening. Take care.